Let me ask you something. What's the most valuable thing that you have? Most people would say their house, their car, maybe their bank account, but they'd all be wrong. It's actually time. The one thing you can never get back. You can always make more money, but you can never make more time. Time to do what you love. Time to be with your family. Time to actually live instead of just surviving. But here's the harsh reality. If you have to trade your time for money, you'll never actually be free. And right now, today, Americans are working more hours than ever just to stay afloat. And according to the Organization for Economic Development, the average American has to work 80 hours a week just to escape poverty. That's 27 more hours than any other country. So who wants to live like that? Waking up exhausted, clocking in, clocking out, barely making ends meet, only to do it all over again tomorrow. But there's actually a better way, a way to make money work for you instead of the other way around. And today, I'm going to show you exactly how to create passive income through real estate so you can stop working for money and start living life on your own terms. And don't worry, you don't need a ton of money, experience, or even a lot of time to get started. And I'm going to be breaking this down step by step, just like I do in my in-depth guide to getting started in real estate, which you can get for free at the end, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Before we dive into the exact strategy that will get you to financial freedom, let's actually take a step back first. Because when most people hear about real estate investing, HGTV has trained them to think of one strategy and one strategy only. It's flipping houses. But that's only one piece of the puzzle. There are actually many different types of real estate investments, and each one actually serves its own purpose. So let's break them down. There's residential real estate. So this is where most people live, single family homes, duplexes, apartments. Whether it's a first-time home buyer, a growing family, or someone renting their dream loft downtown, residential real estate is always in demand, and people will always need a place to call home. Then there's commercial real estate. So think office buildings, retail stores, shopping centers, anywhere business happens. This is where you find everything from your local coffee shop to massive corporate headquarters, and it's the real estate that keeps the economy moving. Then there's industrial real estate. So warehouses, factories, shipping hubs. This is the behind the scenes, blue collar muscle real estate. It's where products get made, stored, and shipped out to the world. Not the most glamorous side of real estate, but trust me, it's a money-making machine. And believe it or not, there's even more than that. Now, some investors specialize in trailer parks, others in self-storage units, and some even go after hotels and resorts. But with so many options, which one's the best? Now, after years of investing and analyzing deals, I can confidently tell you this. The best type of real estate for beginners and even experienced investors is single-family homes. And why is this? It's because they're simple to understand. There's no crazy zoning laws, no 100-page commercial leases, just straightforward real estate that anyone can really wrap their head around. You buy a house, you rent it out, you get paid. It's kind of simple. And it's also in high demand. No matter what the economy is doing, people always need a roof over their heads. And businesses come and go, but homes are forever. Then compared to other real estate investments, houses are just much more affordable, right? You don't need deep pockets or $1 million loan to buy your first property. Compared to commercial real estate, single-family homes are way more accessible. Additionally, they're more stable than other types of real estate, right? When times get tough, businesses shut down, malls go empty, but people, they always still need that place to live. And that's why residential real estate is the safest bet in the game. When you invest into single-family homes in residential real estate, you're putting your money into the second largest asset class in America, trailing only equities. And on top of that, it keeps on growing. The residential real estate market grew by 6% year over year. And with the sheer volume of opportunities in the residential real estate market, it's simply too hard to ignore. And this is why most successful investors focus on this sector in the industry. But here's where I like to do things differently. A lot of people will tell you just buy and hold a house, buy a house, rent it out, and wait for it to appreciate in value. And while that's a great long-term strategy, and I love this strategy, it's not always the fastest way to get started. And it's pretty common knowledge out there, not everyone can go out and buy a house just out of pocket. Not when the median home value in the US is hovering right around $355,000, which is up 2.7% in the last year and more than 75% over the last decade. Now, if we take a step back and we look at the bigger picture, the median sales price of a house in the US has increased by over 2,000% in the last 60 years. So if you actually want to go from where you are now to developing that financial security and freedom through real estate and passive income, then you need a strategy that works step by step and a strategy that lets you buy your first rental property without having to save for decades. And this is exactly what I'm about to show you. Now, I call it the evolution of a real estate investor. It's a system that takes you from zero to a full-time investor without needing a ton of money up front. So when it comes to real estate, most people think they need a huge savings account, a perfect credit score, decades of experience. But the truth is, there's a process and a path that we've honed and perfected over the years, and I want you to know about it. And trust me, it's a whole lot simpler than most people think. So you don't just jump into real estate and start buying huge apartment complexes or a shopping center with millions of dollars of your own money. And you don't need to make a ton of risky moves right from the start. What you actually need is a clear, systematic approach that allows you to start small, make money, and then use that money to scale up. In its simplest form, the evolution of a real estate investor looks like this. We start with wholesaling, which is the fastest and easiest way to make money in real estate without having to spend any of your own cash. And with wholesaling, we find a deal, we lock it in at a price, and then we pass it on to an investor for a quick payday. So there's no fixing, just straight profit. Then we add fixing and flipping into the mix. This is when we buy a property low, we fix it up, and we sell it at a high price. That's the game here. This is where we take distressed properties, we add value with renovations, we clean it up, and then we cash out with the profit at the end. And with wholesaling, we're generally talking around $10,000 profits, but with fixing and flipping, we're generally talking 5 figures, maybe even 6 figures on some of these deals. Now we have wholesaling and flipping. Now it comes to rental properties. This is where real wealth is built. So instead of just working for money all the time, by investing into rental properties, your money starts to work for you. So we buy rental properties, we collect the monthly cash flow, and we build long-term appreciation and create true financial freedom. And I'm talking about the kind that lets you live life on your own terms and where you never have to work another day if you don't want to. And what's important about these steps is that each one builds upon the last one. So we start with wholesaling because it's the easiest and fastest way to get started in real estate because we don't need any money up front. And then from there, we move on to wholesaling and fixing and flipping properties, which requires more time and effort, but generally results in much higher profits. And from there, we build a nest egg of profits from wholesaling and flipping, and we roll those profits into rental properties, which then provides you with long-term passive income. And what this step-by-step process allows you to do is you never get stuck waiting, thinking about getting started in real estate. You can get started with little, no money, no experience. You can start making an active income and then roll your profits into rental properties to make a passive income. Now imagine this for a second. You have enough rental properties bringing you cash flow every single month, and you don't have to stress about your bills anymore because your property is bringing cash flow. You don't have to work another day if you don't want to because your properties work for you. And then you're done stuck trading your time for money because your properties are bringing you money every single month. That's exactly what passive income does. And this is just one of the important concepts that I cover in my Getting Started guide, which you can actually grab in the description down below. Now let's dive into step 1, the fastest way to make money in real estate without needing a single dollar to invest. And step 1 is wholesaling. So most people think getting into real estate means jumping straight into rehabs or buying these rental properties. And this is exactly why so many people never get started. They assume real estate investing is only for the wealthy or for the people with perfect credit or for those who can quit their job and go all in. But that's actually completely wrong. The truth is there's a process and a path that lets you build wealth step by step without needing a ton of money up front. So if you don't have a lot of cash or any experience, wholesaling is the absolute place to get started. And simple. We find great real estate deals, we put them under contract, and then pass that contract to an investor for a fee. Now what's great about this is you never actually own the property, and you don't need to make repairs to the property. You're simply getting paid for finding a great deal, getting it under contract, and then connecting it to the right person. And the best part, there's no mortgages, there's no credit checks, there's no down payments. When done the right way, it's just pure profit. So let's break down the numbers. Say you find a distressed house worth $250,000, but the seller is willing to let it go for $150,000 because they need to sell it as soon as possible and it needs more than a few repairs. Well, you lock it up under contract for $150,000, and this gives you the sole right to actually purchase the home. However, instead of buying the house yourself, you turn it around and assign the contract to an investor who's happy to pay $160,000 for it. So what this brings you is a $10,000 wholesale fee for simply bringing them the deal. Now, the investor who takes the contract over from you, they get a renovation project with attractive profit margins. Now the seller finds a buyer for their house because you connected them, and then you make money by just introducing them together. And the best part is you can repeat this over and over and over again, just like we've done for years. And some wholesalers can do one deal a month and then make over 6 figures a year. And then others scale up, build a team, and do much more than 6 figures a year. I'm talking 7 figures, some 8 figures a year. So wholesaling is exactly how you can stack cash quickly, get quick wins, and then start learning the business. So now you have money to keep on wholesaling and then do the next step. And the next step is fixing and flipping. And we want to focus on single family homes. And this process, it's also known as rehabbing houses. And this is where things get exciting because instead of just flipping contracts, you're now actually flipping houses for big profits. And fixing and flipping is how you can turn real estate into a wealth building machine. And it's the natural next step after wholesaling. And why is this? Because wholesaling actually teaches you how to find deals. And once you can do that, you now have a skill that allows you to start buying and selling properties for yourself instead of just passing them off to other investors. And you've probably seen it before in HGTV, right? The huge before and after transformations, those huge paydays. And with fixing and flipping, right? Instead of making $5,000 or $25,000 per deal like wholesaling, with flipping houses, you can now bring in $30,000, $50,000, or even $100,000 per deal. And for those of you thinking that this is impossible, I can assure you it's not. Because the latest numbers released by Adam Data show that the gross profits on typical flips around the country increased to about $73,500 recently. And that's the average investor, people who were in your shoes not too long ago. And the best part is, when fixing and flipping houses, you still don't need to use your own money. Now, while you can still use money from your wholesale deals to fund your flips, we actually recommend holding onto that cash and staying liquid. And why is this? Because real estate is all about opportunity. And if your money is all tied up in one project, you might miss out on an even better deal. So instead of using your own cash, you should leverage other people's money to finance your flips. This means working with hard money lenders and private money lenders, which will allow you to scale faster, take on multiple deals at once, and maximize your profits. The wealthiest investors already know this, and it's time you know it too. So don't use your own money to flip properties. Use OPM, other people's money, to grow your business so you can keep your own funds available for great opportunities through real estate. Now, by using this approach, you flip more houses, you build wealth faster, and you keep your options open for that next big deal. This is how the best investors scale their businesses and increase their profits. And guess what? The skills you learn from wholesaling, which are finding deals and negotiating, make it 10 times easier to get funding. Because when you bring a great deal to the table, investors and lenders will be lining up to give you money. Now let's look at a real-world example of a fixed flip deal. You find a distressed home in a great neighborhood that, after repairs, will be worth $400,000, and this is called the after repair value, or the ARV. And because the house needs work, you negotiate to buy it for $250,000. Now your renovation costs come out to $60,000. That includes a new kitchen, updated bathrooms, fresh paint, flooring, and landscaping. Now you list it for $400,000. And after paying off your financing and closing costs, you walk away with a $75,000 profit on one deal. Now imagine flipping 4 houses just like this a year. That'd be $300,000 per year from just a few deals. And the best part, this cash, this profit, this nest egg you're building, this is going to be your true ticket to financial security. Because once you have that money, you don't just spend it, we're now going to invest it. You're going to take those profits and put them into rental properties, which is where the real wealth is going to be built. Now let's get into the key to passive income and long-term wealth, which is step 3, rental properties. Now at this point, you've successfully wholesaled properties to generate quick cash and use other people's money to flip houses for bigger profits. But guess what? You've still been trading your time for money. Your profits were the direct result of the work you put in. And that's not bad, but what's the real goal? It's passive income and financial freedom. And this is where the rental properties come in. So flipping properties is a great way for making big lump sum profits. But if you want long-term wealth and financial freedom and the ability to step away from the grind, rental properties are that key. So instead of working for money, you'll have money work for you every single month. Now, after a successful flip, you'll likely walk away with a big chunk of cash. Remember, the average investor makes about $73,000 on a flip, according to Adam Data. However, at this point in the process, most investors make one of 2 mistakes. 1, they blow through their profits, treating flipping like a high-paying job instead of an investment strategy. And 2, they keep on flipping forever and never actually make that transition to passive income. But the smartest investors take their profits from wholesaling and flipping and reinvest them into rental properties. And this is how they create that wealth building machine that generates cash flow every single month. So here's how it works. You take a portion of your wholesale and flip profits and use it as a down payment on a rental property. You then find tenants to rent the property and they pay the mortgage while you still have monthly cash flow above that. And then you repeat this process again and again and again, using your rental income and wholesale and flip profits to keep adding more properties to your portfolio. And this is how you transition from making an active income through wholesaling and flipping to a passive income through rental properties, and eventually replace your 9-to-5 completely. Now ask any seasoned real estate investor and they'll tell you, rental properties are truly the way to real wealth. And here's why. Number 1, you get the cash flow, which is the passive income, right? So every month your tenants, they're paying rent, that covers your mortgage, it covers your taxes and expenses. And then you keep the leftover cash as profit, right? This is the money that hits your account, whether you work or not. Then we also get appreciation. This is when your property increases in value. So over time, real estate values tend to rise. Historically, real estate in the US has appreciated by an average of 4 to 5% per year. So that means if you buy a home at $300,000 today, it could be worth $500,000 in 10 to 15 years without you having to do anything. Then there's the tax benefits, which allows you to keep more of your money that you actually make. So the government rewards real estate investors with huge tax incentives. And you can actually depreciate the value of your property to reduce your taxable income. You can write off expenses and even defer capital gains taxes using strategies like a 1031 exchange. Then there's the power of leverage. So small investment with big returns. This is where things get really exciting. When you buy a rental property, you don't have to pay the full price up front. Instead, we buy a property with a small down payment and a bank covers the rest. And leverage is a game changer and worth repeating. So let me break it down just to give you a quick example. So let's say you buy a $367,000 property and you need to put $73,000 down. Over time, the property appreciates 5% per year, meaning in 5 years, it could be worth $468,000. Now that's a whopping 6-figure increase, over a $100,000 increase in value. Now here's the kicker. You didn't just make that 5% return on your down payment, you actually made it on the full $367,000 house. So instead of making 5% of the down payment you invested, you're making 5% on the real value of the whole entire property. And that's the power of leverage in real estate. You control a high value asset with a relatively small investment, and as the property increases in value, so does your net worth, without you having to do any work. And the best part is, the whole entire time, your tenants are actually paying down your mortgage. So while you collect the monthly cash flow, you're also building equity and you're increasing your net worth with every single mortgage payment that they make. And now imagine doing this 10 times. Instead of just one rental property, you now own 10 cash flowing rental properties. And with each one appreciating in value, producing passive income and getting paid off by your tenants, at a certain point, you're not going to have to work for money anymore. You don't have to wholesale and flip houses if you don't want to anymore. You'll have enough passive income to cover all of your living expenses without having to work another job again. And this is how any real estate investor can actually escape the rat race. And this is how you can buy back your time and build generational wealth. And as you can see, this all started by simply starting with wholesaling to generate that quick capital, and then wholesaling and flipping to build the bigger profits. And then finally, investing your profits back into rental properties to create lasting wealth. Now here's the reality. Most people never reach financial freedom because they make one of two big mistakes. Number one, they never start, they overthink, they doubt themselves, and they get stuck in the mud. Or two, they try to figure it out all on their own instead of actually finding models that work out there, and they waste years trying to figure it out. And I've seen this happen over and over again throughout the years, and at one point in time, I was there too. But the truth is, the people who succeed, they don't waste time reinventing the wheel. They actually take a wheel that's already working, and then they follow that system and implement it for themselves. And this exact system I'm talking about is actually in my Getting Started guide, where you can learn to implement what we do at Real Estate Skills so you can do it for yourself and just rip off and duplicate it. So look, I know starting something new can be pretty darn overwhelming. And that's exactly why I put together my guide to give you a clear, simple roadmap so you know exactly what to do next. And as you'll see, my guide's gonna walk you through everything step by step. So number one, how to start wholesaling, even if you don't have that capital or experience like we talked about. And then two, how to transition to wholesaling and fixing and flipping for larger profits. And then three, how to effectively use those profits to actually start buying rental properties for that passive income. And all in all, what you're gonna be able to do is build a real estate business that can replace your 9 to 5. And the best part, my guide's free. So I don't want money to be an excuse for anyone or lack of experience or not having the know-how. I want to put this guide together so I can change as many lives as possible. So if you want to grab it, just click the link below in the description and get your free copy. And that's it. No excuses, no waiting, just a proven path that you can use to get started in real estate today. So 5 years from now, you might be in one of two places. Either you took action today, started learning, did your first deal, and now have a real estate empire that pays you every single month. Or 5 years later, you're in the same exact place, still watching videos and still thinking about it, and still stuck on the sidelines in the same exact financial situation. And now the only thing that separates those two futures are the choices you begin to make now. So let's make this your moment. Let's make this your year. It's your opportunity to finally break free, start making some money in real estate, and build the life you've always wanted. So don't wait. Just click the link, grab your free guide, and let's get you started today. I appreciate you watching. And if you like what you heard today and want to follow our system, be sure to subscribe and like this video because we'll be coming out with some more great content. So let's go make it happen. Let's get to work. I'll see you in the next one.